The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.
Welcome back to the Dean Court Social, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Now, before we get going, hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button below. It helps this channel to grow. Firstly, a big thank you to our two sponsors, Touchpoint Telecoms at touchpointtelecoms.co.uk. If you need your telephones sorted anywhere from Aston Villa to Aylesbury and everywhere north and south in between, do get in contact with Mark and the team. And also, thank you to our main sponsors, Dental on the Banks at dentalonthebanks.co.uk. If you want your Nasher sorted in the same place that Antoine Semenyo and the team goes, get in contact with them and they'll sort you out. But it's always a pleasure to welcome back on Mr. Matthew Harrison. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, all good. Yep, looking forward to another weekend of Premier League football. So, yeah, looking forward to discussing this one.
100%. And of course, it's the last game before the dreaded international break. Who are we playing? I don't care. But let's just quickly touch upon the Man City match, which ended in a 3-1 defeat, only our second defeat of the season. The 8-month, that would be nice, wouldn't it? 8-match unbeaten run has come to an end. Matt, what did you make of the game?
Not too disheartened, really. I thought that we kind of went toe to toe with them.
Yeah.
I think really you take one man out of the equation and it might have been a different result. But no, all in all, quite pleased with, how the performance went. I think if you're going to be really critical, I think you could look at potentially the defensive capabilities around Haaland. You can't give, a player of that, caliber that much space and time.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that has just been, really critical. I mean, if you look back at, especially the first goal, for me, he's actually started the move, and just the run he made, why he wasn't picked up. To be honest, is a little bit frustrating. But all in all, I can't really complain about performance. And I think just really the key thing is now how do we respond? Obviously, we had a defeat on the first game of the season. We responded really well, and obviously we've been on a great run since then. So now this is a real test to see how we respond after a defeat. I think that's really key. For me, it's dust yourselves down and go again. So, all in all, I can't be, disheartened by it. Like I say, a little bit frustrated, I think, from the defensive aspect of it. But all in all, we weren't steamrolled. And
No.
to hear Man City fans on, I've seen quite a bit on social media, saying that, we're one of the better sides that they've played at the Etihad this season, says a lot. So, all in all, shame we didn't get anything out of it, but you go again. So,
to be honest, for me, it was pride. In all honesty, I think, we gave a really good account of ourselves. I can't disagree with you defensively. Erling Haaland, an absolutely unbelievable player. We know what he can do. I think he's added a couple more bows to his game, and you know, he's such a difficult man to stop. I know that Cherky was pretty much celebrating before, the ball hit the back of the net because he is so dependable in that situation. We didn't disgrace ourselves in any way. We put up such a battle. And hey, I think I've got to agree with them, but I also think this is one of Man City, from what I've seen, one of Man City's best performances, and they had to be at that level to actually beat us. So, yeah, I've got no complaints. Got no complaints. It's a 38 game season. We've got to play City twice. We've got to play Liverpool twice. We're going to have to play Arsenal twice, and they're always going to be battles. Those sort of games. I think personally, I think we'll get, in our remaining games against those three teams, I think, we will avoid defeat in at least two of those, playing the way we are. So, hey, we go again, brush ourselves off, and you never know. Might be an 8-month unbeaten run. That would be nice, wouldn't it? We can. I don't think so, but hey, we can all but dream. But I tell you what, let's put City in the past. Let's focus on Aston Villa and their season so far. I've got one big question. Before we go into this, are we playing Villa at the wrong time?
Quite possibly. They are on a bit of a bounce back themselves, aren't they?
Yeah.
I watched them from a Premier League perspective. Watched them from the Liverpool game the other night. Felt that they probably weren't at their best. It could well be. Or on the other hand, are they playing us at the wrong time? We've got a point to prove. We've started
True.
the season well. We ain't going to want to, let the City result become the start of a slump. So, we're going to be, gunning to get something at the Villa, out of the Villa game.
Yeah.
Whether that's a win or, a point, we're going to want to go there and get something. So, we could be fired up as well because we want to prove a point that we deserve to be up there where we are at the minute.
Yeah.
That's the main thing that, and I'm sure Andoni and the team, will be working hard and have worked hard this week, in training and getting things right that, probably didn't go well against City. So yeah, it could be a question you could ask Villa possibly as well.
Of course, Villa's last game out at Villa Park was against Manchester City, and they did win 1-0. Prior to that, they went to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, beat Spurs 2-1. 2 wins against Fulham and Burnley. The first 5 games, 3 draws, 2 defeats against sides that you would have thought that they'd get 3 points against the majority of the sides in there. Newcastle probably being the only one, Crystal Palace maybe not, but you would have thought that they'd beat Everton, Sunderland, and Brentford. But I don't think they played that badly against Liverpool. I honestly don't, mate. I think that where the game changed was Mo Salah's goal and Martinez's. I'm not actually sure what he was doing. I don't.
It's just one of those kind of goalkeeping errors that no one will ever understand, really.
Yeah.
He even understood. I think really from watching them, they can be better, and I've seen them play better this season.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of their games. I'm trying to think which one it is now. I think it was when they played Fulham, and I thought they were fantastic on that day. And when they've just beaten City as well, there was just something there that I thought they're not quite. If they had been on fire, and I think they could have got a result at Liverpool, especially with the way Liverpool have been playing. So yeah, I don't know. I just think maybe I just think a little bit off the ball. And I think if they'd have been a bit more on it, I think they would have definitely got a result at Anfield. But yeah, when you've got a goalkeeper now, I mean, he is a world-class goalkeeper, and we'll come on to him for one of the three to watch because every goalkeeper has a blunder in them at some point. He was just very, very unfortunate. He had to do what he did at Anfield, but
Yeah.
you can't afford a blunder like that against any side really in the Premier League, let alone Liverpool.
He does do some stupid things, but hey, hopefully he can do some more stupid things against us. You never know. We'll be very thankful,
We'll be
Martinez,
happy.
if you do that. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, let's touch upon the two managers. They're both Basque managers, Unai Emery and Andoni Iraola. Do tell us what you think about the two managers coming up head to head. Of course, both of them know each other as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you say, both Basque managers from the same region. I didn't realise Emery was 10 years older. Well, I think just 10, 11 years older than Andoni, which
Yeah.
I thought he was a bit younger than that, to be honest. But yeah, from the same region, as we all know. But for me, they are two of the most tactically astute Spanish managers, I think, in European football.
Hmm.
You know, they differ in their style, and they've got different amounts of experience and approach. But when you look at Emery, he's the seasonal tactician, isn't he? He's got the European pedigree behind him.
Yeah.
He's been very successful in European competitions. Whereas you look at Andoni, and he's obviously the rising star coming up through the ranks. In his style of football with his high press and high intensity. So, even though they're got similarities, they are very, very different as well. Emery's, like, if you look at Emery's strengths, for example, game management, I think, is a very, very good strength of Emery's. And in-game adjustments, when he's making changes within the game, whether that be tweaking formation or tweaking personnel, that's a real strength of his. And he commands from his defense as well. He commands that they're compact and well organized. He's
Yeah.
very, very strong on that philosophy. And when you look at him, I mean, what a great knockout competition manager he is. I know he hasn't
Wow.
won
Exactly.
one of our domestic. Oh, did he win a domestic cup at Arsenal? Did he win something like that? No, he didn't, did he?
No, I don't think he did. But I tell you what, Europa League, he's won
Yeah.
it a record 4 times. 3 with Sevilla, and once with Villarreal. And
Yeah.
who knows? He's in it again. Are Villa going to do the same? And is it going to be number 5? He's already got the record, so he might as well try and extend it.
Well, he's the master tactician at it, isn't he? So if
Yeah.
anyone's going to do it, it is probably going to be him. But the only thing, one real difference between the two is Emery does rely a lot on experienced players. Now, when you look at the average age of our two squads, I think their average age is something like 27.9 years to our 25 years. So he does like to rely on the experienced players. And when you do look at, the squad, Martinez, who you've mentioned, who's got leader capabilities, he's 33, I think. Then you've got the likes of John McGinn, who are a bit older. Tyrone Mings now is I suppose becoming, one of the elder statesmen of the side. And there's a couple of others you can mention as well. So he does rely on those experienced heads a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and his preferred formation is quite a good formation. I quite like his formation. His 4-2-3-1 formation, which sounds quite familiar.
Yes.
So I just think, with the start of the season where they sort of spluttered a little bit, then they picked up a bit, and now they've had a defeat again recently. He isn't going to want to, have that sort of inconsistency creeping again that they had at the start of the season. So it's going to make it a bit more of a tougher game, I think, when we go up to Villa Park, in fairness, when we do come to face them on Sunday. But, when you look at Andoni's record against him as well, Andoni's yet to beat him in 5 meetings, which I always say there's always a time. So why isn't that not, this Sunday? Let's hope it is. But yeah, no, over five different fixtures, Andoni hasn't managed to get the better of him. So
He's had some good games against him, though.
There's been some close games, isn't there? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we drew last season at Villa Park, didn't we? But he's, which I thought was an excellent result, to be fair, at the time, going up there and nicking the point, because I think they were pretty on decent form at the time, Villa. And the home game, unfortunately, there was, it was a bit of a disappointing performance, I think, the home game, from what I can remember. But overall, when you look at both of them, they're two fantastic Spanish coaches, aren't they? both in different times in their career. Obviously, you've got Emery, who's, I would say, probably at the elite level, in fairness, with what he's achieved in European football.
Yes.
Like you said, those 4 times Europa League wins.
Hmm.
And his tactical abilities as well. I think he's the man that's gonna, I think, stabilise Villa as a European challenging club each season. I really do. I know that I think as long as Villa stay with him, I think he's going to be competing to achieve European football, whether it be Champions League, Europa League, each season, each season to come. Whereas Andoni is just making waves throughout, world football, isn't he?
Of course,
With
yes.
his football, with his philosophy and his high pressing play and all the attractive football that we're privileged to watch week in, week out. He's obviously causing a stir. So it'd be interesting to see. You've got, like I say, you've got the elite in Emery and you've got the up and coming new boy. So it'd be interesting to see if the new boy, well, not so new boy, but
Yeah.
the younger, less experienced one out of the two, hopefully get one over on the elite one on Sunday.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. But Villa do have lots of threats up there.
Mm.
What would you say are the 3 players that we've got to keep an eye on?
Well, all in all, good depth of squad. I think that they have
Yeah.
got. I mean, you can name plenty of players like Matty Cash is one I'm a fan of. I think he's a fantastic attacking right back. Has popped up with a couple of goals from this season as well. Konza, we've seen what he's done for England. Brilliant player. Then you have got the experienced heads of the likes of Tyrone Mings, who we all know about.
Yes.
You look into their midfield; they've got an excellent midfield. I think the ex-Leicester player Talisman, I think he's out injured, I believe.
Yes. Tielemans.
Tillemans, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's out injured, which is, a bit handy for us because on his day, he not only is he, attacking wise, he can assist and score many
Mhm.
goals and I mean his direct passing is fantastic as well, and his direct runs he makes, he's a real rare asset. So he's handy that he's out, but. You look across the rest of it, and there's an excellent squad he's got there. But the 3 I've picked to watch, my personal 3, and the first one that I've picked is a player that I'm really fond of. Actually, I think he's a fantastic player, and that is Amadou Onana.
There we are.
Yeah,
Amadou Onana.
I was practicing it before we come on. Amadou Onana.
Yes.
Yeah, no, really good player. I really, really like this player. I like his physical performances that he puts in. Great ball winner. He was recently described as Villa's most important player in the win against City. And he broke up a lot of play against Rodri, disrupted his rhythm as well.
Yeah.
And that helped Villa control the midfield in that game. So, Adams for us, Tyler Adams, he's going to be very, very key against this guy. In terms of the battle in the midfield, as our transitional midfield anchor, he's gonna come up against a really, really good player on Sunday, and this guy, someone that I really enjoy watching.
Yeah.
Played well at Everton as well. I'm sure Everton were pretty
Did.
gutted when he moved on to
Yeah.
Villa, but since he's been at Villa, I think he's kind of that linchpin in the midfield. So, I always like that kind of man, that can win the ball. That's why I'm, I like Tyler. I've really grown on Tyler. Tyler Adams has really grown on me, should I say?
Yeah.
Since he's made himself, one of the first names on the team sheet, because I
Mhm.
like those ball winning players. I really do. So he's someone that excites me. But the man between the sticks, made an absolute howler at Liverpool, as we briefly touched on, but
Yeah.
world class keeper still. For me, I know a lot of people describe him as trying to describe the word without actually using it.
Mhm.
But house is in the word, if you
Yeah.
could get what I'm trying to say. But yeah, again, he's the reliable last line of defense, isn't he? Okay, yeah, forget the howler, but great shot stopper. He's very, very key in tight matches for him as well, because if they're winning 1-0, he's the kind of man you want in your goal to keep an equaliser out. He is an extremely good shot stopper. Distribution, I think, is pretty good as well, apart from that howler against Liverpool. But on his day, he's going to be very, very key for stopping the likes of the young Krupi,
Mhm.
Semenyo, whoever else is in our attack on that day. He's going to be very, very key for keeping the ball out of the net from them. So my last one
Go
is
for it.
someone that I think has had a bit of an up and down season for Villa, but internationally has come on really, really well. And that's the next loan player that we didn't really see the best of, to be fair, unfortunately. And that's Morgan Rogers.
Yes.
He's been excellent in an England shirt when called upon by Tuchel. I think if he can carry on playing, if he's selected for England and playing well for England, if he can improve his club form going forward between now and May, I think for me he's on the plane. I think it's a real sad thing when I look back on him because we didn't see the best of him, unfortunately, and I think that was due to really, in fairness to him, a lack of game time that he was given really by Scott Parker at the time. But fair play to him. He's gone to Villa, he's taken it with both hands, and he's doing really well. You look at his pressing, his direct runs. He causes teams problems, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He can be, he can assist, he can finish, and he's like I say. I think if he's on form on Sunday, I think
Mhm.
we're going to have to keep a real eye on him as well. Of course, then you've got Ollie Watkins. They have got a real good squad at Villa. There's
Yeah.
I picked another I could have picked probably 4 or 5 combinations of 3 for this one.
Yeah.
Just like I could have done for City and so on. But yeah, they're the ones I think, if on form on the day, they're going to be very, very key for Villa.
100%. 100%. Well, we've had a little look at the win probability. They didn't give us much hope at the Etihad. Are they giving us much hope at Villa Park?
Well, no, not really, if I'm being honest.
I don't understand it. I really don't understand it because we're a side that are in decent form. We played so well at City, and then they're going, oh well, they're not going to go and beat Aston Villa away from home. I don't think that this is a foregone conclusion that it's going to be a Villa win. I just don't understand it.
No. I mean, the probability when you look at it, so Villa has got a 50% win probability. We've got a 17% win probability,
And that
but the
works.
draw probability is 33%, which, you know what? It's, yeah, I would say we've probably, I think, we're going to say it, aren't we? We should be a little bit higher on the win probabilities.
Yeah.
I know they look across, to get these probabilities. They look at previous
Mhm.
games and, trend and things like that to kind of work this out. And obviously, probably the defeat, against City has probably had a bit of a knock-on effect a little bit as well. But yeah, I would say 17% is pretty low.
Do they actually watch games? I just wonder, these people that write these, because at the end of the day, we played well against City. Surely, we should have been a bit higher. But I tell you what, you know, let's see what we can do. But we are going to find out some more, views now, and it is a pleasure to welcome on to the show again, Rich from the Villa Park podcast.
Hi there, Richard here from the Villa Park podcast, just recording my section for the Up the Cherries in All Departments podcast, previewing the upcoming game on Sunday, Aston Villa versus Bournemouth, and it's set to be a fantastic game. Now, if you hear banging and fireworks behind me, it is bonfire night, and I'm hoping for fireworks from an Aston Villa perspective on Sunday, and that we get the result that we really do need coming into this game. Bournemouth have been in phenomenal form this season and are in a fantastic position in the league and are a tough opposition for anyone at any situation in the Premier League, but particularly right now when they're playing so well. And I guess not really a surprise to you Bournemouth supporters, but certainly a surprise to many supporters across the country at how well you're doing this season, particularly after the players that you lost last season. But Semenyo is playing fantastically well. Tavernier, excellent. Alex Scott doing so well, and Krupi up front, who has been an absolute revelation coming in for Evan Nielsen, and now you've got Evan Nielsen coming back. You have got some brilliant players who have a fantastic system, and are operating brilliantly in that system under the guardianship of the manager, Andoni Iraola, who is up there with one of the best managers in the Premier League. So you've got a great team, you've got a great manager, and he is highly sought after by many clubs, but is seemingly loyal to Bournemouth right now. And there's no reason why he can't take you into European football next season and beyond. And that's very much the blueprint of what Unai Emery has achieved at Aston Villa. He came in with us in 17th position under Steven Gerrard, and has turned us around and revolutionised the club. And 3 years in, we're in our third season in European competition. We've been in the Europa Conference League. We've been in the Champions League. We're now in the Europa League. And we have had some phenomenal nights at Villa Park, some phenomenal performances at Villa Park and beyond. And it's just been an absolute dream. Now, for Aston Villa, it's been a bit of a tricky start to the season. The first 5 games, didn't score any goals, drew a couple of games, lost a few games as well. But of late, we've been in much better form, beating Fulham, beating Burnley, and then 2 massive wins against Tottenham and Manchester City, with a couple of Europa League wins in there as well. But after losing against Liverpool, this game is a really important one, because if we lose this, it kind of wastes those 2 victories against Tottenham and Man City that we achieved. But if we were to win it, 9 points from those 4 games after the last international break, going into this new international break, will really set us up for that Christmas period where we can really push on. And I'm sure you guys will want to do the same. Get the win on the board and really cement yourself in that top 4 race going into the Christmas period. So it really is a massive game for both teams. I'm expecting Villa to be pretty much at full strength. Youri Tielemans is back in training, so that's a real big boost for Aston Villa. Obviously, we've lost Tyrone Mings to injury, but he wasn't maybe one of the first choice players. And as I say, we're hoping to get players like Ollie Watkins back on form. Morgan Rogers has shown a little bit more form, which is great. Emi Buendia could be back as well, and he's been absolutely brilliant for Villa this season. So lots of options for Unai Emery to consider, but it is going to be a really, really tough game. Obviously, we got the win against you at your place last season, and you guys got that last kick of the game draw to get the point last season. So whatever happens, it's going to be entertaining. Both teams will go out and want to win, and both teams will want to go into the international break getting that 3 points. I'm going to go for a just about an Aston Villa win. I'm going to say 2-1 to Aston Villa, and I'm going to say Ollie Watkins will get back to form and get a goal, and I'll also say Morgan Rogers will contribute with a goal as well. But whatever happens, it'll be a great game, and all the best for the season for you, Cherries.
Thank you to Rich for his thoughts. So let's have a think about our team and what we're going to play. And here is the team that has been devised. Matt, talk us through it.
Yeah, I think really not many changes from what we predicted really for the City game. To be fair, I know Brooksy was brought in. Thought Brooksy did all right, to be fair, against City. But I think for this Villa game, I think we're crying out, I think, of a little bit to have Kluivert back in there.
Yeah.
And I can't, like I've said before, I don't see him, foresee Andoni maybe having Tavernier on the bench. He might surprise us. He might do that. But I think Brooksy will possibly jump back to the bench. But yeah, all in all, the defence be the same. It could obviously a little bit critical on the defence from the City game. But unless you bring in Milo Savic or you bring in Smithy, I don't really see what other changes you would make. So I think, especially for going forward against Villa, Jimenez, I think, would be quite vital to be in there. Petrovic, we know, just picks himself. Adams, got to congratulate Adams on his first Premier League goal.
Yep.
And is obviously his first goal for the club last week. So fair play to him. But I think he picks himself. I think this season, like Christie and Cook were picking themselves in these positions. I think at the minute, these two lads are picking themselves. You know, I think, you know, I can't see why we would change it. Yeah, Krupi, you know, managed to hit the net, being 2 bus lengths offside, mind you, but he managed to hit the net again. Still looking good.
Yeah.
I think the minute for me, unless he goes on a run of games where he isn't scoring, then maybe shake it back up with Evan Nilsson. But the good thing is that Evan Nilsson is back part of the squad, and that's going to add some real competition now. I think between Krupi and Evan Nilsson, there'll be some real good competition. And they push each other, which can only be good for the side. Yeah, like I said, Clivett comes in, Tavernier, and of course the man that's probably always first on the team sheet in Semenyo.
Yep, I can't say that I disagree with any of that, to be fair. Justin Kluivert, I think when he come on against City, I don't think he really managed to get a foothold really in the game. I think he was getting a little bit frustrated. But this is sort of game, I think if he starts, I think he will be able to get a little bit more joy from Aston Villa. I think City's back line were very, very, very good. Semenyo, you know, I think he picks himself, like you say, Tyler Adams and Alex Scott do at the moment. It is actually a really, really positive thing, probably not for Ryan Christie, but that these two are keeping Ryan Christie out of the side because, you know, he is such a good player. He's such an inspirational player. He's such an important player for us. But you can't change those two when they're playing so well. They played so solidly against Man City. Um, I thought Tavernier, you know, was decent against City, and you know, Krupi, I think, is again. You cannot change him, and you can't bring Evan Nilsson straight back into the starting lineup whilst we're on this bit of a run. Disregard the City result. It
Yeah,
is what it is.
yeah,
With regards to defence, um, I this is where I do worry a little bit because I'm sure Unai Emery's had a watch of that City game and gone, now that's the way to get round Bournemouth. We play it on the floor because we've said before, Diakite reads it when it's in the air so well. He's not the tallest guy, you know. Let's be honest. Erling Haaland is a bloody giant compared to Diakite, but it's how he reads the ball in the air and how he watches it. And he's been very, very good, you know, against a lot taller attackers. And you know, even you know, players across the pitch when they come in for a corner, Diakite has been very, very good at reading that. What I'm sure Unai Emery's gone to his side is and said is right, keep it on the deck, hit them at pace. That's not how he really likes it. Try and pull him into a position that he doesn't want to be in. So that's the only concern is if Unai Emery's watched that Man City game, he's probably picked up. Don't get me wrong, Haaland's probably the best player in the world at this moment in time for what he does. But he's probably picked up if we can replicate part of that, and then we might get some luck against that back line.
I can see, I totally see. But he's going to watch the game and he's going to be showing his team, you know, exactly what happened. But in
Yeah,
defence of ourselves, these players would have sat down and watched footage from the Man City game in to look at it from, you know, what can we do better. So I think it kind of works both ways, doesn't it? I mean, Emery's
yeah,
going to be all over that, exactly like what you've just said. But then in our defence, you know, these guys, you know, they watch videos. They even watch videos of their training now. They watch everything back, and I'm sure that, you know, Andoni would have got the message across where they've been watching these goals they conceded against Haaland. You
yeah.
know, they would have watched videos back and back again and he would have been, you know, coaching them on where they went wrong or what they can do better. So I think that kind of works both ways. But yeah, no, it's definitely a way that I'm sure Emery will be getting a message across to the likes of Watkins and Rodgers and players like that on how to, you know, beat them on the deck.
Well, I'm sure just to give a bit of insight, when I spoke to Gary O'Neill, he turned around and said he watches a game 3 times back. You know,
Yeah,
he
there you go.
watches particular. And let's be fair, Andoni Iraola is a lot more analytical than that. So how many times does Andoni watch it? If Gary watches it 3 times, I wouldn't be surprised if he's really drilling in down into those intricacies, which can change and affect a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
There we go. There we are. So that is our team. Right, we've got to predict it.
Yeah.
This is a very, very, very tough game. Villa Park's always a tough place to go. Villa are a very good side. Matt, do you want to go first, or do you want me to take the honours?
Do you know what? You could go first.
Okay.
And I'm going to write down, because I already know my score prediction. So I'm going to write it down.
Okay.
Now. Okay.
And you're going to see if it matches.
Okay, mine's written. Now you go first.
Right. Okay. I think it's going to be a real challenge. However, I do think we'll get the better of Aston Villa. You know, they will have watched our game against City, but we'll have also watched their game against Liverpool, and we will try and exploit their weaknesses that they did show. Because there was weaknesses. I didn't think that they played that badly, but there was weaknesses. I am going for a 2-1 Cherries win, and I'm going to go for Antoine Semenyo, and I reckon it'll be Alex Scott.
Interesting. Well, I think slightly different. I think there's going to be a good game against 2 very, very good sides, 2 very, very good managers. I've been up to Villa Park and seen a win before. Villa Park can be a very difficult place to go. They've got a great support up there.
Yeah.
But I've got faith that we will pick up. And I've gone with a 2-2. And I
2-2.
Wrote it on that bit of paper there.
There we are.
2-2 for me. I think there'd be goals in it. And I think, to be fair, if we come away with a point from Villa Park, I think it'd be a good result. But yeah, I think it'd be a good. I think this could be lined up to be a very, very good game for a neutral to watch. To be honest, I think it's 2 very, very good sides, but sides that Bournemouth on our day can beat them definitely, and they'd be saying the same, vice versa. But I don't know. I think. With how the teams, both on the back of a defeat, I think if both teams come away with a point, I think, we'll be the happier of the two. But it won't be a bad point for either side. I don't think.
First on match of the day?
Definitely not.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
Never are we really?
No. Although saying that, because it's Sunday, we might be first on match of the day too. There we go. But thank you everybody for tuning in. If you do want to watch a interview with a very special guest that we had on here, do go check out our interview with Richie Neville from the boy band 5. He's currently on tour at the moment. Go check that out. It is in the interview tab just below. So yeah, a very, very. It was a pleasure to speak to him. A very, very nice guy, and a very interesting story as well. So yeah, please do go and check that out. I know that game that was recorded for has been and gone, but the information in there is still relevant. And yeah, if you can get a ticket, I think it's sold out. Do go and support the guys as well. But there we are. That is all we've got time for, Matt. Hopefully back to winning ways, but I'm with you. A point of Villa's not going to be bad, is it? If that's what.
No, it won't be bad. It won't be bad. And then we got the international break, so I suppose we'll be back. I suppose
West
in time
Ham?
for the West Ham game, which is the 22nd of November. So
Yeah,
we're back in a couple of weeks.
definitely. But in the meantime, like, subscribe, hit the bell button, keep checking out Cherry AM. Cherry Slaps will be back, of course, again after this match. But until the next one, up the Cherries. We'll see you soon.
The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.